It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
She's learnt some valuable lessons. I don't have to spell them out.
Yeah, you don't
I don't have to rub her face in those lessons. Those lessons are pretty apparent. She's old enough to figure this stuff out, and she has.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
For today's I'll Do Better Tomorrow, hey, it's the second last one of the year. 2022, it's really that close to being over now. I can't believe it. Kylie, we have a big I'll Do Better Tomorrow to work through today as we focus on our parenting of the week. What's happened, what hasn't happened, what's gone well, what hasn't gone well. Where do you want to start? Because I've got a big story. You're going to look so good at the end of today's I'll Do Better Tomorrow. You're going to look so good. Do you want me to tell everyone how amazing you are, or do you want to start somewhere else?
No, we have to tell them Christmas came early to our house.
Oh, okay. So long as look at you, you're grinning. I need to just backtrack here for a second. Emily, our 8-year-old, has been begging for a number of months now. It's been 18 months since Benson died, our puppy dog, and Emily has been begging for several months now for a dog, just desperate for a dog. And so for Christmas, you thought, since it was at the top of her list and it was the only thing she really wanted, and since I wasn't willing to get a snake or a goldfish for a pet, you decided that we had to have a dog.
Well,
even though you say you don't want one, but you are so in love with this dog, it's like your 7th baby. It's unbelievable.
she just sleeps in my arms.
So I did some research and decided that if we were going to get a dog, it needed to be the right size dog for our house and for our yard and the right temperament for our family and all that sort of stuff. And so we decided to get a Rhodesian Ridgeback. No, I'm just kidding. So I decided with your input, but it was essentially I really wanted to choose this one. Decided to get a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, which if you haven't seen these dogs, they are just the most beautiful, adorable, gorgeous little balls of fluff that you've ever seen. Absolutely stunning.
Well, this goes back to a conversation we had more than 20 years ago.
I've always wanted one.
Talked to me about getting a dog all the way back then.
Yeah.
And we had decided that if we ever got a dog, this was the kind of dog we would get.
Yep. So I looked up, found a cavvy in Brisbane's Bayside suburbs on the south side, and the dog was going to be at Christmas time like 12 weeks old or something like that, but little puppies, they grow so fast. And when I spoke to the person that we were buying the dog from, she was like, it's only a couple of weeks till Christmas, but this dog is growing fast. Are you sure you want to wait until Christmas Eve? I said to you, Kylie, what do you think? And you said, why don't we go and have a look at it? And I knew as soon as you said that we were coming home with the dog that day. There's no way you were going to leave it there for another 2 weeks. Am I right?
No.
Oh, come on. You had no intention of leaving that dog there.
You had every intention of taking it too. You just wanted to blame me, so you did not have a single opinion.
I knew that if I had an opinion about it, I'd get in trouble, so I had to leave it to you. But I also knew that as soon as you said, well, let's go and have a look, that we were going to come home with a dog. So we went and had a look at the dog, and there were a couple of other pups that were still waiting to be picked up as well. And what happened to you as you sat there and held that dog?
I went a bit gooey.
Oh, my goodness. You went to mush, literally on the lounge. You just turned into a complete mush ball. This gorgeous dog.
While I was being mauled by 6 other puppies, I might add.
So anyway, we've come home a couple of days ago. The kids were not expecting it. We've opened up the door and said to them, guess what? Christmas has come early, and they've seen the dog. And there were tears and there was laughter and there was excitement, and the dog has not been left alone for days. And it's just, I think, parents of the year right here. That's what it really is, isn't it? Just buy a puppy, you become the parent of the year.
You've just got to keep loving it. That's the problem.
Yeah. So the biggest issue that we have right now is that we don't have a name for our dog. So if you've got any ideas for a name for our dog, actually, you know what? I might pop it up on Facebook. I'll put a photo up and say, Christmas came early. We need a name for our dog. Let's get some help. Okay, we'll see if the Happy Families audience can name our puppy. Anyway, that's not our I'll Do Better Tomorrow. That's just you showing off because you've got a dog that you're in love with and you wanted everyone to know, correct?
Maybe.
Okay. I'll Do Better Tomorrow. The idea is we look back on the week that was and identify what we did well so we can do more of it, or what we're not doing well so that we can become better parents. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Oh, look, I'll go first.
Okay, great stuff.
So we had family Christmas over the weekend.
Which we mentioned yesterday. Yep.
And
for those of you who missed it, we were down at Kira with my extended family for like 2 or 3 nights and doing a whole lot of Christmassy stuff together.
And so one of our daughters had driven down for the day she had intended on staying the night, but just towards the end of it, just really felt like she just wanted to be at home in her own bed.
She had stuff to do the next day and just wanted to head on home.
And we didn't really want her to go.
And she had to take my car to do it.
And we encouraged her to stay.
And she wouldn't listen.
She was pretty adamant that that's what she wanted to do and making life miserable for everybody else around her. So we finally just said, okay, we'll drive safe and, let us know when you get home. So we fell asleep.
Yeah, I was zonked at maybe 8:30 and the phone starts ringing. Now, once you've gone to bed at night, if the phone rings, it's never going to be good, right? That's the reality. The phone's just, it's a signal that something bad has happened. It was about 10 o'clock, 10:15, the phone rings. And I answered the phone.
And all I could hear on the other end was unintelligible blubbering. I couldn't understand a word that was being said. There was just hysterics on the other end. And so I've woken up abruptly too. You and I both don't really deal well with being woken up.
I really like my sleep. Yeah.
And so I was struggling to work out why you'd answered the phone in the first place and why I couldn't understand what was going on. My brain just was feeling very scrambled.
Yep.
As your conversation continued, I began to realise what was going on. Our daughter had been in a car accident. She'd hit a kangaroo doing 110 kilometres an hour.
That's a fast kangaroo.
On the freeway. You're so funny.
Hey, the kangaroo, just for clarification, the kangaroo wasn't doing 110. Well, it probably was once it hit the bonnet of the car.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
Anyway, you just said to her, where are you? You wanted to kind of get a picture of where she was on the road specifically and whether or not she was safe. So she wasn't able to get completely over onto the shoulder. It was a very narrow shoulder.
So she's on the Bruce Highway.
The highway.
Yeah, with cars and trucks going past her at 10 o'clock at night at 110 kilometres an hour. And not everyone does 110. People are going faster than that. So flying past her.
And the car's actually, that's right, the car's actually shaking. So she's feeling very scared and obviously overwhelmed and shocked and all of the emotions that you can imagine and guilty on top of all of that because of the conversations we'd had with her in the lead up to her leaving.
And you know what I said to her? I told you not to go. I told you. I didn't really.
You didn't at all. And so we tried to encourage her to start the car and get off the highway, go up to the next exit and just get off the highway.
So she starts the car.
She starts the car and it's making all of these
going, beep, beep,
screaming
beep.
noises. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, she's hit a kangaroo. It's not the end of the world. We're okay. And yes, the car's going to have a little bit of damage, but she'll be fine. She can get herself home and everything will be okay. Well, the car was making all of these noises, so we've told her to turn it off, just give it a few minutes and then turn it back on, see if she can start driving again. Well, the alarm's going off all over the place. And meantime, she's still quite hysterical and she's telling us that the car, really, really worked up because there was obviously some damage that we couldn't imagine that she could see. So the long and the short of it is you had this ridiculously calm conversation with her, ridiculously calm. And once it became apparent that the car actually had significant damage, and knowing the conversation that we'd had with her, I kind of expected that you were going to get quite upset.
Well, especially since she'd woken me up at 10:15 in the evening. Gosh, ungodly hour.
And just to complicate everything, you have actually already just put in an insurance claim on our car.
Yes, because my bicycle got ripped off the roof racks when I drove into an undercover car park.
Small accident that you had.
Yep.
And we had just had a phone call from the wreckers to let us know that the job we thought would happen this week will not happen until next March.
Because they can't get parts from the supplier because it's that bad because of COVID.
The difference is that your small insurance claim means that your car is still completely drivable. The same car is now completely.
So to put this into context, when she sent the photo through of the front end of the car, the car is demolished. The car is absolutely demolished. I hope they write it off. If they don't, I'm going to be devastated that they're going to try and fix this thing. But it is just... this kangaroo has destroyed the front of the car, completely destroyed it. And I think, Kylie, I don't know if I said these exact words, but as Abby cried, I just threw it, Abby, you're okay. People matter, things don't.
Yeah, you did.
The car's insured. I'm not worried about the car, so long as you're okay. And
then you woke up.
And then But in the end, we had to ring tow trucks, and we had to ring insurers, and we had to ring the police to get them to go and block the freeway.
We had to ring a family friend.
To go and look after her because she was 2 hours away from us, and we couldn't go. I think it was nearly midnight when we finally got back to bed. Hang on, this is your I'll Do Better Tomorrow, not mine. Yeah,
you take over.
I'm sorry. Well, it's my story. I'm going to have to think of another one. So, but what's the sort of the take-home message out of all of this?
That phrase, people matter, things don't. It's just so powerful. Here was a kid on the side of the road. She knew that if she had have listened and stayed behind, that this wouldn't have happened. But she also didn't do anything wrong. She's not at fault. She couldn't have...
Try telling that to the insurer who's going to charge me the excess for an under 25-year-old driver. Holy cow.
She couldn't have navigated that any differently, that situation any differently. And out of everything, just knowing that she was safe and that there was somebody there who could help her get home and that we could have a conversation with her once things were calm. And for her to know that unquestionably she was loved. There was no doubt that no matter what, we love you and we'll work this out.
There was a thought that went through my mind a number of times as I was talking to her, and that was just, she's having a bad night. Don't make it worse.
Yeah.
Don't add to her suffering. Don't make tonight any more challenging than it already is. She's having a rough old time. And I kind of think she's learnt some valuable lessons. I don't have to spell them out.
Yeah, you don't
I don't have to rub her face in those lessons. Those lessons are pretty apparent. She's old enough to figure this stuff out, and she has. So that was kind of my main thing while I was talking to her. I just need to help her to get through it. She's going to get through it, but she needs softness and gentleness now. She doesn't need the riot act read to her right while she's in the middle of overcoming the trauma of killing. She was really worried about the kangaroo.
Yeah, it's huge. I had a similar experience, just obviously not doing 110 Ks, and it was a tiny little wallaby, but it just came out of nowhere, and it's the worst feeling. Absolutely just awful knowing that you've hurt something.
I thought you were going to say that you've written off your dad's car. That's... My poor Kia. My poor little Kia.
Kangaroo. So my I'll Do Better Tomorrow is just an acknowledgement, number one, of how grateful I was for your calm and cool and for your perspective in that moment, because I don't know if me on my own would have gone down that road, because I would have felt so helpless that I actually think that my panicked state would have actually brought out all of the things that she didn't need to hear. But your calm and just collective thought processing allowed her to stay calm, cool and collected, and ultimately be safe, because she could have made some very silly decisions in those moments, in those early moments, that could have put herself in more danger even. So for me, it's just absolutely massive high five for Dad of the Year, I think. It was pretty amazing.
Thanks, hon. So let's dive into my I'll Do Better Tomorrow. My one's going to be a pretty quick and easy one. Across the weekend, the reality is, and I think that I can say this without upsetting anybody, but I'm going to say it and hopefully it will be okay. There are, in big families, so I'm one of six. I'm the eldest of six kids. And when we got together for our Christmas weekend, last weekend on the coast, the fact of the matter is that not everybody is always going to feel really great about getting together for a family event. Family events can be a little bit tricky. So my I'll Do Better Tomorrow is actually all about you and the way that you approached the weekend. So what I loved, and this is a great hint for anybody who has some slightly challenging family relationships, or even if you don't, it's still just a brilliant... What you did was, I think, genius. And I don't know if it was an intentional strategy or if it's just what struck you as being needed in the moment. So what Kylie did was, when we got to the hotel where we were all staying for the weekend, Kylie sat down with the nieces and nephews, with our kids' cousins, and said, hey kids, let's play a game. And she pulled out our favourite card game at the moment, which is Cover Your Assets, and said, let me teach you how to play this game. And so all of a sudden, Kylie has become the Pied Piper, sitting down with a bunch of 6-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and teaching them how to play this card game. And all of the parents looked across and were like, oh, how good's that? The kids aren't watching TV. They don't require any supervision right now because there's an adult with them. And all of the adults got to kind of hang out and have their conversations and prepare their meals and do their thing. Kylie, you sat in the corner with the kids and played games, and you became the world's best auntie. Like all of the kids were like, oh, Auntie Kylie is the best. They all loved you like crazy. They loved the games that you played. They wanted to spend more time with you than anyone else. But you also became the favourite sister-in-law because all the parents are like, oh, Kylie's looking after the kids and she's doing it so happily and so well. And the kids are delighted. And it was just this moment of genius, really, that made the entire weekend flow so much more nicely. But it also brought the kids together. It brought the cousins a level of, I guess, unity and solidarity with everyone. It was just ace. And so you gave me a high five about Abby and the car crash, but I'm giving you a high 10. Can you? Am I sounding a little bit old and weird and out of it? Like, what do you call it? Instead of high five, it's like, give me 10, and I'm giving you that, whatever that thing is, because it made the weekend amazing. Heads up for anyone who's got to do some family stuff that they're not that thrilled about. Work out a way that you can engage with the kids, with the nieces and the nephews, bring the cousins together, and watch how much everyone loves you for doing that, especially the kids. That, to me, was one of the best things that I might have ever seen.
Well, you make it sound like it was really amazing. It really wasn't.
No, but it really was. It was so good.
There are no gifts for the adults, and the kids each have a secret Santa that they gift. And so one of our kids decided to give Cover Your Assets away.
Yeah.
But I know what it's like when our kids get given a card game or a board game or something that we've never played before, and it kind of sits in the cupboard. It never gets used until somebody either comes along and goes, oh, you've got that game? That's awesome. And then they show us how to play it. Or we fumble our way through it, but there's never fun. So I just thought if we're going to gift it to them, then they actually need to know how to play it. So that was my strategy. Just teach them how to play it so that when they actually open their gift, it's not like, oh, what's this? It's, oh, that game.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what happened. But the reality was that the edition that we have and the edition I gifted is actually different. So then we got to learn new rules together, but they'd already learnt the basis of the game based on my edition before we added in the new rules. So by the time we left 3 days later, not only had they learnt, but I'd learnt a new game in the process. And it was so much fun. And it was so nice to see them excited because the reality is we all now live in different parts of the country.
Yeah, we never see each other.
We hardly see each other. So the kids don't actually know us very well as auntie and uncle. There isn't strong connections there, and COVID has obviously exacerbated that a lot. So while we were in their lives in the very early stages, they're all now growing up and they're kind of looking at us going, I think I know you, but I don't know you. So it was really nice to be able to spend some time with them and just see their little personalities, open up and develop.
Hope you've enjoyed this edition of the I'll Do Better Tomorrow Happy Families podcast, which is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media, and Craig Bruce is our executive producer. For more info about making your family happier, please check out happyfamilies.com.au, and we will be back next week for our final big week on the Happy Families podcast as we race towards Christmas 2022.